All right, welcome back again, Egyptology lovers. Today we are doing plate 22 of the Book of the Dead. Now, plate vignette is a continuation from plate 21, which is chapter 133. And it shows the falcon-headed ray seated in his sun disk. You can see over here, he is seated in his sun disk. Both boat and god looking much as they did in plate 21, but without the presence of Ani, so minus Ani, and without the colorful mat at its prow. So there's nothing here at the prow. The divine boat is shown approaching a rectangular blue panel of stars, presumably representing the night sky. So it's approaching the night sky. Chapter 134 begins directly after demarcation line, like chapter 15 and 133, so the demarcation line you can see right over here. Its purpose is to ensure that Ani shall join Re in the sunbark. Although Ani is not shown in the vignette shows Re once again with an enormous sun disk before him in the front of the boat, right over here. A bigger disk, even one on his head and one on the boat itself. Now what does this mean? Although the title says, praising Re on the first day of the month, which says it right over here, praising Re on the first day of the month, the text is much more reminiscent of a magical text than a hymnic material. Like the previous chapter, it is concerned with the first day of the month. The large plank spot in the middle of the sixth column is one of several places in this papyrus where the scribe carelessly forgot to write Ani's name. You could see perfect example of commercialization, an empty gap right there. Now one would wonder why Ani did not notice this and did not ask the scribes to fill it in. Perhaps he died before he was given to him. So we don't really know. Or maybe the priest said, do not open this. It would be sacrilege. Who knows what could have happened. Many reasons. As with the previous chapter, the text concludes with a lengthy rubric detailing image magic, which can be performed to ensure that Ani will assume his place on the sacred bark and ward off the enemies of Ra. So that's pretty much it. The beauty about this is that this particular plate is very well written by a good hand. So the person who drew also wrote. This is something that we see. Very lovely, very well done. Some parts are kind of scrambled in, but most of the time it looks just beautiful, this type of text. So we're going to start over here from the Book of the Dead. Now, we're moving and we'll get back to this and I'll describe the direction of this plate. So welcome back again, everyone. We're going back, continuing now. We're doing retrograde, starting here on the very left side. Now remember, this is a continuation of plate 21. That means it's attached. So the sentence completed with Ani and then as Re. And to complete the as Re comment, it's basically saying, with their ears, as Re, and then it continues here, and who ply the oars of Nun. Nun is the waters of Nun. He will not say, the Osiris Ani vindicated what he, right over here, has seen. Now this is together. I don't know why this line was in there, but this is all one word, seen, with the past tense. And Ani will not repeat the Osiris in the house of the secrets. And there is acclamation of the Osiris Ani, who is vindicated. Continuing up here, the god's body of Ra in crossing the primordial water, which is Nun. Among those who are propitiated, the will or the spirit of the god that he has desired, the Osiris Ani vindicated in peace, vindicated as a falcon whose shape is great. All right, continuing over here. Words to be said upon the sacred bark of 4 cubits. So this is measurements, 4 cubits in length or its length, made of pieces of malachite, and having upon it the tribunal. There shall be made a sky of stars, which continues up here. Stars, purified with natron and with incense. Therefore, make you an image, which continues here, image of Ra, of a bowl and jar of new, the new type, made in ochre. So made of ochre. To be placed in front of the sacred bark, or this sacred bark, this is bark right here, 2 words, this sacred bark. Therefore, make you an image of this spirit as you desire. Which it be made worthy in this sacred bark. It means that he will sail in the sacred bark of Re, and that Re himself will see, continues here, see him in it. So this is a bit confusing, this text, the way it shifts around, but this is a lot of different type of sentence structures that are incorporated into one. But let us continue. Therefore, you make the faces of the gods and the faces of the messengers, continuing up here, in themselves as you see in him. The dead, and they will fall on their faces when he is seen in the realm of the dead, or the God's domain, with the messengers of Ra. So this one's a bit complex. It looks like the copyist was writing out some words and maybe made some difficult sentence structures based on the writing of space. We don't really know, but it's quite a bit of a difficult sentence. So that's the completion of chapter 133 all the way from plate 21. Now we're going to move to chapter 134. This is right up here, and we'll start from over there. Worshipping of Re on the first day of the first month, when sailing in the divine bark. Hail to you who dwells in his sacred bark and who shines. This means repeat twice. Hail to you who dwells in his sacred bark and who shines. On the backs of myriads, and who said of imprisoning myriads of men, at his will who gives commands to the sunfolk. And Khepri, who dwells in his sacred bark, he has felled Apep. Apep is the evil serpent in the waters of Nun at the beginning of time. You can see that he has been given knives to cut him, so in order the magic of the book cuts him in the afterlife, so you don't have him attacking you. Now it is the children of Geb who will befell you, and this is again to Apep, the enemies of the Osiris, Ani, in vindication. You who demolished the demolished in the sacred bark of Re. Horus has cut off their heads in the sky like birds. This pertains to how a falcon attacks birds in the air, as observed by the ancient Egyptians, and happens today. And their buttocks are in the land, and the riverbanks or the lakes in with fish. As for any male wrongdoers or female wrongdoers, and they who would do harm to Ani, of course this is omitted, the scribe once again neglectfully forgot to add the actual owner's name in here, whether he shall not descend from the sky, or he to ascend from the earth, and you who shall come upon the water, or you who shall travel with the stars. And Thoth, which is Jehuti again, the full name of Thoth, not just this, the determinative, but the actual words, the phonetic words. And Thoth, who is the son of the eggshell, shall come out. It continues back here again to decapitate them. And then we go right back in here. In being dumb or in being deaf of the Osiris scribe Ani, vindicated. This, it is you, Re, the great God, greatly terrible and majestic. He shall bathe in your blood, and you shall drink of his or in his gore. O you who would do much harm to the Osiris scribe Ani in the sacred bark of the Lord his father, Re, the Horus, Osiris, Ani, vindicated, a living heart, his mother, Isis, bore him or gave birth to him. Now continuing up here, Nephthys, continuing here, nursed him like of you doing to Horus, in order to drive away the confederacy of him, Set. Continuing up here, and they see the wearereth crown firmly planted on his head. Continuing here now, the spirits of men, as well as the gods and of the dead, you fall upon your faces. When they see Ani, or the Osiris Ani, vindicated as Horus. Therefore, in favoring the wearer crown, they fall on their faces, triumphant, by the Osiris Ani, Ani vindicated, against his enemies. In the upper sky and in the lower sky, in the tribunal, and of every god and of every goddess. Continuing, words to be said upon a great falcon standing the wearer crown or the white crown in upon his head. A tomb, continuing here, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Nephthys shall be scribed in ochre, upon a bowl of new, so a new type of bowl, a new material, placed in this sacred bark together with the image of this spirit. Continuing here, anointed with oil, offer to them incense upon the fire, and roasted ducks. Worship of this ray, and to sail on this his bark and to be he made for with ray for every place. He travels in it. It means that the enemies of this ray will be driven off. And in being triumphant in making deeds on the 6th day of the Lord ray upon sailing.